Sienna, I wanted to start with you first. Your character has such an evolution throughout this film, and there's so much nuance that you brought to her journey where she's letting her walls down and allowing herself to be vulnerable with others. As an actress, how did you create that space for yourself to tackle that arc and get into the headspace of this character, especially in those more emotionally charged moments when she's talking about the connection with Cal Arts and her parents?
I think in a lot of ways I do relate to Dallas, so it was in a way easy to bring on screen, and then on the opposite side of that, that was the hardest part. Because I brought a lot of my own struggles with, say, like acting and having to just that drive, growing up, I think was something that I incorporated. But we worked closely with Justin and to try to develop like the family background, and leaned on that to sort of develop those scenes. But I don't know. I think I brought a lot of myself into Dallas and her determination for Cal Arts, and that was sort of my acting.
You're incredible in this. And then, Drew, you also brought so much depth and life to this character who's caught in these dual roles of brother and guardian. I think so often in film and television, it leans more in one direction, but your portrayal is so refreshing and such a blend of both. How did you find where this character sits within you and finding those moments of contrast?
Yeah, I think the roadmap I tried to follow with Nathan was he goes from really wanting to be like the coolest older brother to then wanting to be a very strict and like perfectly formulated parent. And by the end of the movie, he sort of accepts that. I mean, when it comes to family and it comes to love, you've got to wear different hats sometimes. And I think that's the mark of a true a true parent, one that you can look up to. My mom was definitely that person for me. She was a
Mm.
single mother raising me, and she wore many hats. And she came to every one of my football games. She supported me at every step in life, but she also knew how to, be a parent, how to discipline me, and so I drew from that. I drew from the people around me, you know.
Beautifully said. And Sienna, there's also a lot of physicality when it comes to this role because your character is a dancer. How did that training allow you to tap into the core of who she is? And what was that process like learning the choreography for her audition? Because it's so believable on screen. I actually had to go back and look and see if you were a dancer.
Oh man, well, we did work really hard and we spent a lot of time in the first few weeks before filming and then also taking classes as much as I could before we flew out to Toronto. But I think a main goal that I sort of realized is, you know, you can cram in as many classes, as much training as you want within the time span of knowing that you're going to film this and filming, and that would never amount to, how much a dancer who wants to get into Cal Arts or say Dallas or
Mm.
other dancers out there are gonna train. So I knew that going in, but I really wanted to not obviously you want to look like a dancer, but I wanted to feel like one, and I think even just it was inevitable dancing and training every single day with our choreographer. I started to it started to change me. Like
Right?
even just like within the month of filming, like I felt music differently. I moved my body differently. I was
Mm.
so aware of my body in the ways that I just like have never experienced. And so it was kind of so not kind of, it was very helpful to apply that to Dallas going into it. So um I think there was also training for the dance aspect of the movie itself and then also for the mental preparation of Dallas.
Yeah, I guess like you as you're training and really trying to like, bring Dallas to life and do her justice in her own story. She's
Yes.
trying her hardest to get into Cal Arts. I guess, yeah, I didn't realize the mirror there.
Yeah.
That's so true.
It's
Yeah.
almost like Jeffrey, the choreographer, had to remind me of the lessons that Dallas was learning throughout it. He's like, just let go.
That's so cool. So cool.
It feels like a safe the last dance for modern audiences. And Drew, one of the important lessons that your character bestows on his sister is the importance of finding fulfillment outside of your craft and work. How have you personally found that balance in your own career, and how has that fed into your own art and made you a stronger storyteller and artist?
Well, I was having this conversation with my mom yesterday. She flew into California. It's her first time in California, and we're driving around and we drove by the Magic Castle. and we were talking about the Magic Castle because I love magic and I've always loved magic from a young age. And we were just talking about, because I know some of the magicians there and they talk about how it's harder to get younger people to enjoy magic and things. You're probably wondering where this is going. Don't worry, I'll bring it back in here. But the point was is that there was so much when I was growing up. There was so much things that were introduced into my life, like magic, like football, that I never really like looked at those pursuits as things that needed a huge payoff. It was never like, if I'm going to dedicate all this time into magic, it has to lead towards a career. I try to fill myself up with hobbies and things that maybe don't have an end goal, and to just it brings me a lot of happiness and joy to know that if I can like do a magic trick for somebody and makes them
Mm.
smile, then that makes me happy too. I think a lot of times we struggle to find these things outside of our lives and outside of the job or the career that can bring us happiness. But yeah, focus on things that don't have any end goal in mind. And although it's like it seems crazy, you're like, I'm spending so much time learning how to do this one magic trick for nobody potentially, but I do believe it's worth it. At least it has been for me.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and then you channel that into the performances that you give on screen. I think you're definitely going to bring a smile to audiences. And then Sienna, Justin really fought for proper representation in this film. What has it meant to you to know that you're blazing a trail for young girls who look like you and leading this incredible film, and that there are going to be endless opportunities because of the path that you're paved?
Well, thank you. I think Drew and I both sort of spoke on this when we first met, like representing our culture in a way that we haven't yet um on screen before was really important. It is so surreal. I love this question because it still just baffles me to answer it. I don't know how to answer it except for just how grateful I am. I mean, yeah, like yay. I'm happy that like people who come from my culture or my background can see themselves on screen. And it's like, what more could I want? Like that's just so cool. Like I feel like I'm just so humbled to be here and lucky to be here that it's not me up here. It's it's everyone. That's
Yeah.
cliche and cheesy, but I just happen to be the one that's here.
Very well said.
Well, yeah, beautifully said. Drew, same question for you. What has this moment meant for you, just knowing that audiences are going to be able to see themselves reflected in the work that you've both done?
I mean, obviously, it's an immense honor to be able to do that. I think that when you're younger, at least for me, and Sienna, maybe you too, but we sort of the heroes that we look up to, they're sort of few and far between, and so you start to put yourself into a mold from a young age, and then you get older and you realize that maybe there needs to be more stories about somebody like you. And I mean, I had never really had the opportunity to do that, and I really thank Justin. I thank Sienna for being a wonderful partner in that regard, because being mixed race, there's a lot of us, and sometimes it's hard to
Yeah.
find somebody that can like play your sister, and it's hard to convince people of that. But we had that opportunity with this movie to show, like, mixed race mom and dad, and these
Yeah.
two kids that they had, and that's like a very real story for a lot of people around the world, and it doesn't always get its day in court, but I'm so honored that we got to just um slip that in and pay homage to our parents a bit. And yeah, it's great.
It's so important, the work that the two of you are doing, and letting audiences feel seen through the media that they're consuming. Thank you both so much for taking time out of your day to chat with us. Congratulations on this project. It's such a feel-good movie that I think the world needs right now. I hope you enjoy the rest of your press day and enjoy this moment right now.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kevin.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
have a great rest of the day.